Mortal Kombat 2021 Friday came out on HBO Max and in theaters. I actually watched it at home on HBO Max. And after doing so, I thought I wouldn't have minded so much if I actually saw this in a theater. If I went and saw it on a big screen, I actually might have, maybe I will go and see it again on the big screen. Now, all I really want to do today is play Mortal Kombat. This is the Sunday after it premiered on Friday. So I want to play, but I have this rule where we don't play video games on Sunday. But I can talk about Mortal Kombat. I can talk about the movie, and that's what we're going to do next right here on Film Fan. Welcome to Film Fan, my channel where I discuss film, all things film related, streaming, movies, television, and collecting Blu-rays and all that wonderful stuff. If that's also your thing and you're into all that wonderful stuff and you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell so you don't miss when I put up new content. I truly appreciate having you here. So Mortal Kombat 2021 came out Friday, directed by Simon McCoy. This to me is now like the definitive Mortal Kombat film. Now, I'm no gamer or nobody, I'm not somebody who's like deeply invested in the Mortal Kombat world. I know the games and such. I know the history of the games. And as I always say on the channel, I'm not trying to, take the role of, the guy who knows every single character and all the history of the franchise or the history of the actual tournament and the different things that go on. That's not me. But I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It was entertaining, and that's what a film needs to do when it's coming from a world of, let's say, a video game or comic books. I talked about this before when I talked about one of the, I think I did a review on a Marvel, WandaVision, and I talked about the idea that certain things have to be enjoyable by laymen, like so people who are not deeply invested into the actual culture of a comic book or a particular series of video games, right? If you're going to have a movie, somebody like me should be able to watch it and feel like, wow, I don't know everything about it, but I enjoyed it. And that's what this film did. Right off the bat, I liked the beginning and the whole setup with Hanzo and his family, and then Bai-Han coming in, like his people like wiping them out. I didn't like the fact that he killed his son and his wife. That was not nice. But the fight there I thought was really great, and it set up the action and everything to come. I liked the way the fighting was done. That's one of the highlights of the film, the fact that you retain this video game like element of a Mortal Kombat fight. Even the way the blood was like coming out, it looked like the video game, but it was combined with like really great fight choreography and traditional martial arts, so it came off very realistic. Yeah, and it definitely established Sub-Zero as a baddie, and they set up that whole thing, and which I always talk about. You got to have a really badass bad guy in a film for this to work. And Sub-Zero, man, it's kind of creepy. The whole icicle thing and that sound, the crackling and the icicles forming on stuff, and the way he throws ice. I thought that looked good. I thought the special effects were great, and it was believable. It just felt creepy. He was creepy, and he was a bastard. So, you look forward to seeing him get his due, but more on that towards the end of this video. So this, apparently this Cole guy, what's his name? Cole Young, he's a newer character. Like, I guess they're introducing a new character to the Mortal Kombat world. And, he's got the birthmark, he's got the dragon birthmark, and then Jax goes to grab him and then Jax confronts Sub-Zero and lets Cole escape and sends him over to see Sonya Blade. I thought the setup was good. Again, I think this new guy, Cole, again, not that I would know if he was new or old anyway. I only know that from reading the fact that they introduced a new character, but seemed like he fits into this world. He's going to make his way, whatever he's going to do. Sonya Blade, I thought was cool. This movie for me didn't really get popping until Kano was introduced. The moment Kano was on screen in this film, that was everything. He was probably the best actor in the film. He had the best lines. He just had the right attitude. I don't know much about his character from the video game series or from the other films, but he brought that thing that was needed to a film like this, where there was a comedic thing going on, but he was also really good at delivering his lines. It didn't come off as cheesy. It was written well. And I just thought he was like, every time he was on screen and everything he said was fantastic. The whole, am I going to get superpowers too? He was probably the highlight of the film for me. Now, what kind of dragged the film down a bit was when they go to train, when they go to meet, Raiden, who wasn't that spectacular to me in this film. Other than Raiden being Raiden and the whole cool hat and the lightning thing, that's kind of cool. But he wasn't that spectacular to me for some reason. I don't know why. I think for some reason Christopher Lambert still holds up. I don't shoot me for that one, but that's like the original Mortal Kombat, and Christopher Lambert, and perhaps I'm biased because I'm a Highlander fan, but let me just forget about that. But yeah, I thought Raiden was a little underwhelming, and the whole training thing where they had to go and find their, Arcana, their superpower, their gifts. They had to kind of unlock them, so they had to train. I don't know. I felt like that whole sequence and a lot of that just slowed things down when they were in that place, or it wasn't done well enough for me to be really engaged in it. And speaking of all that, I really probably could have done without Kung Lao and Liu Kang. I know it sounds wrong that those are two like major characters, but I could have done kind of without them. I don't know why they weren't that exciting to me. But the one thing I will say is Kung Lao using the hat to like slice, what is her name, the woman Nitara, in half, with the wing girl. That shot, that fatality was brutal. That was great. I actually thought that was pretty cool. But other than that, I didn't find those two characters to be that exciting on screen. Speaking of fatalities, though, probably my other favorites would be Jax smashing Reiko's head. Reiko, right? The guy with the huge hammer. Jax just like smashing his head. I thought that was fantastic. And I like when Cole fought, the four-armed dude Goro at his residence with his wife and daughter watching. I thought that was great. That was, again, the fatalities thing here worked. It brought the video game to life, and it put it on screen in a way. It was done well. It didn't look cheesy, and it delivered in that regard. Now, not being an MK guy, I do know, from what I understand, there's a tournament, right? There's this thing. You gather the people from the Earth Realm, the Warriors, and the Outworld, I think it's called, right? The Outworld. And they're supposed to have this fight, which decides, who's going to control humanity, or whatever it is, right? And so far, the Outworld people, Shang Tsung, who's the leader of them, they've won the last 9 tournaments. Well, yeah, look at some of the people they got. Anyway, so in this one, they're not supposed to do that. Like, they're not supposed to have fights outside of the actual tournament. They're supposed to wait. But this guy, Shang Tsung, decides, like, you know what? F that. Like, let's just off all their warriors first, and then we automatically win by default. Which, again, I'm not into, whether rules can and can't be broken, when they can be broken. He's obviously this rogue dude who wants to just do things his way. It provides an element of, like, hey, I'm going to do evil shit, and I'm going to do what I want. And it does provide for a movie. But it begs the question, is there going to be an actual Mortal Kombat? Like, is there actually going to be a tournament? Is there going to be something like that? I'm assuming they're saving that for the next film, or the film after that, or the film after that, or the film after that. Because, there'll be Mortal Kombat 22, Mortal Kombat 23, Mortal Kombat, whatever. They'll figure it out. Getting back to Shang Tsung really quick, though, the only thing about that was in this, the makeup, the lipstick and the whole makeup look they had on this guy. There's one scene in particular where you can actually see it. But the only thing I kept thinking, that's the guy from The Dark Knight, right? Like the banker business guy that's supposed to do business with Bruce Wayne, but he's kind of like, and he's the one he's the guy on the television there, right? The guy that's going to squeal. That's the dude. And I'm looking at him like, that's that meek little accountant, nerdy shady business dude from The Dark Knight. I just didn't believe him in this outfit. Like, I'm like, why did they pick him to play this role? I don't know. Someone chime in the comments and let me know if maybe there's some history, or maybe there's a reason why they picked him, but it just seemed kind of an odd casting choice, and it stood out like a sore thumb to me. So yeah, getting back into this, I think that overall this was an entertaining, great picture, which brought a video game to life in a plausible way. It was engaging. You had your moments where it was kind of, blah, 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 whatever. It was kind of slow. It kind of dragged things a little bit. But for the most part, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. The only disappointment I had, and I want to see who agrees with me on this one. The Sub-Zero death, I think, should have been much better, if he's even dead. I mean, because in this world, obviously, we see that Hanzo came back as Scorpion, so setting up that whole thing. But we're not sure, Sub-Zero is really out of the whole picture, or he can't be, because he was probably the most, like I said, entertaining, thrilling character in the whole film. I imagine going forward, they can't just not have Sub-Zero, but we'll get to that in a second. The real thing is, I didn't like the way he died. After killing this guy's, wife and son, right, and doing what he did, and wiping out his whole clan, and doing what he did, and just being the bastard that he was, I expected that fatality, the ending of the movie, I expected that to be the worst of all the brutality, fatalities in the whole movie. And all he did was get burned up and then like left. I just thought that would have been much more brutal. I would have kind of had that work differently. I would have had, it was a great fight between Cole and Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I thought that was a good fight. I liked that whole scene. But I feel like there should have been a moment where, you know, they get Sub-Zero. He's kind of down for the count. He's on his knees at Scorpion's feet. And then maybe Scorpion looks over to Cole, and then Cole looks back at him, and Cole says, "Finish him." That would have been the way to do this. See, Simon, hit me up next time. We're working on the writing of this, but that's the way it should have been. Cole looks at Scorpion and says, "Finish him," and then he should have like ripped Sub-Zero's head off, and then like put his fist through it, and his eyeballs pop out, and then the head gets crammed back down into the cadaver, you know, into the body there, the torso, and then he rips his arms off, and then burns him. We see him flaming up. That would have been something to see, right? But they didn't do it that way. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm sure there's going to be a shit ton more Mortal Kombat movies. I enjoyed this one. I think it was fine. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. I don't think I gave spoilers or anything. I kind of did. But anyway, you're not watching this because you didn't see it. You're watching because you're just going to see what I'm going to say about it, hopefully. Anyway, if you like this video, hit that like button. I truly appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button if you're new here. And that's it. I'll see you on the next Film Fan.